what the issue is here is that we don't really know what positivity actually is, and we don't really know what negativity is.
When adversity came, I could have fell apart, but I chose instead to follow my heart. When adversity comes, I will never run, I will adjust, adapt, and overcome. Vision.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Speak Your Vision podcast. What are we talking about here? We're bringing the energy. This episode, I'm excited about, I'm hype about. So you know that we're bringing the energy because I've been thinking about this episode for a long time now. And so I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of things that I want to say about this, but specifically, it needs to be broken down to some specific definitions here. Once again, welcome to the Speaker Vision podcast. I am your host, Tariq Williams. Not only I am Vision of Hope, it's not just about me, it's about we. We are Vision of Hope. Let's get into it. I have some passion, I have some thoughts. I'm putting passion into this episode. I got a lot of things I'm thinking about. Positivity. Why you can't think positive. Let's break that down. And I did an episode on this a while ago, and I wanted to work with this again and have this conversation because I even think it's a little bit simpler than what I may have talked about in the past. So and I actually forgot a little bit that I wanted to talk about this, and some things happened that reminded me. Now, before I go any further, I want you to think about the person you want to be. Okay? The person you want to be. I want you to think about that. Just think about what it is. Like no strings attached. There's no rules. The person you want to be. And I'm not tricking y'all into thinking something, whatever. Just simply think about the person you want to be throughout this episode. Here we go. Now, and getting ready for this episode, the first time I did something similar to positivity, and we're going to put you up on some information here about being searchable, search optimization. So something that they tell you all to do is if you type in how to into a search bar on a private browser, see, look at this information, right? If you type in how to and then see what pops up after that or whatever it autos to, they say that that's what's trending right now. So that might be what you might want to talk about or record about. And once upon a time, I did that in a galaxy far, far away. And it said the question was how to think positive. I said, okay, cool, interesting. We can talk about that. And I think that speaks to the fact that this situation is a pretty big problem. It's an issue in the world today and in society. And we talk about social media and all that different stuff. And so that's one of the reasons that made me think about doing this episode at first. But then I started getting some other interactions with people. When we think of positivity, we think of the person that's always thinking on the bright side. Okay. Look on the bright side. Shout out to the show for those of you, for my 90s kids out there. The Hey Arnold, when he's talking to Helga or whatever, it's like, hey, look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. X, Y, and Z. Look on the bright side. and and I I think when we think of positivity, that's all we think about. All right. And so, checkpoint that for a moment. I myself, and I'm gonna be real with you all here. It's always real on the pod, but I'm gonna be real with y'all. It This is gonna sound weird, but I can't tell you how sometimes it could be a little bit annoying. It can be a little bit annoying when someone or whatever, a group of people I might hear this about someone else or hear it about me and say, "Oh, like, well, man, that's just really positive." Yeah, those people are just so positive. Tariq, I can't really listen to your podcast because it's just too positive. I can't even begin to tell you how frustrating that is, but and it's frustrating a little bit, and I'll explain to you why in a moment. But it's frustrating when we just look at the words positivity in this box, and that it's only specific people can be positive, and it comes off as, well, that's just too positive, right? So what the issue is here is that we don't really know what positivity actually is, and we don't really know what negativity is. And so I'm going to break this down for you, what positivity actually is, what negativity actually is, so that what do we do here? We evolve. So and thinking about that, and granted, if we wanna call this positivity or anything like that, sure, that's fine. You can call it whatever you want to call it. There's no rules. All right, there's no rules. If you want to call this particular thought process that I'm going to get into positivity, fine. All right, but the thing is, it's incomplete. It's not a full thought process that we're thinking about. We're not working with a full deck of cards here if we're believing that positivity is for certain people. Okay? We're not working with a full deck of cards here if we're thinking that just negativity or what have you is a thought process. Because I feel like there's a negative, as weird as this is going to sound, there is a negative thought process behind people who are quote unquote too optimistic. Like optimism and positivity is bad. Like that's kind of the box. It's just too much for me, right? And granted, when I think about my life and what I've gone through in my life with my blindness and other obstacles, and we all have different obstacles we're working through, okay? When I think about those journeys and everything like that, I think I would say that when you have something taken away from you that you would think that you're going to have your entire life, that everyone around you also has, you think that you deserve that, you think that it's supposed to be that all the time, forever and ever, that's it. That's it. And so I'll say this, that has definitely been a part of shaping my mindset and my thought process, but I don't know if that quote unquote makes me positive, right? And so the problem is you look at positivity and negativity as a specific thing, as a specific personality trait. You look at it as a specific point of reference to life. Now, I truly believe that we all have different mindsets, okay? We all have different mindsets. We all have unique traits and personalities. So in order for me to get to one place, it might be different for you to get to that place because we're all on our specific journeys. All right? Now, once again, I don't know if I can explain to you how frustrating it can be to always be like put in that box. Well, that's not for me, Tariq. You're just a positive person. I can't listen to your podcast because you're just so positive. But let's break this down again. Here's the definitions. And this entire time, I know that you've been thinking about, once again, I'll bring it back to the very beginning, thinking about the person you want to be, the goals you have, thinking about all that. Okay. So let's call negativity what it truly is. Negativity is simply giving power to your limits. Negativity is simply giving power to your limits. So when you think about the person that you want to be and the person that you're working on becoming every single day, and where you're at right now in your journey and in your life, and the fact that you recognize that you're not where you were a year ago, do you want to be the person that gives power to your limits? Is that what, because that's what negativity is. When you think about what you want to be, is that giving power to your limits? Because ultimately, the only thing positivity truly is recognizing that the limits that people are stowing upon you don't exist. You live a life with no limits. No limits. That's what positivity really is. So if you want to call me positive, if you want to call the podcast a positive place, fine. Because we don't believe in limits here. The things that you believe you can't do, you can't do it. You can't. Absolutely not. And the limits that you don't believe exist, the no limit mindset that we're talking about here, I guess, according to social media and the public, I guess that makes us positive. So why you can't think positive is because you're looking at it the wrong way. You're thinking about the limits that you have and you're giving power to them. So are you going to continue to give power to your limits? You're here. Of course not. Absolutely not. We're not doing that here. We don't do incomplete. We don't give power to our limits because there's enough things out in the world. There's enough things on social media. There's enough people talking to us, telling us all a bunch of different things about why you can't do what you want to do. So if you believe that, if you give that power, it's not going to work out. That's the reality. And I don't want to be that person because now I sound a little mean, right? But it's true. So if this makes me positive to not give power to my limits, then fine. And maybe you have to go through some adversity to recognize that your limits don't exist. So whatever it is you're going through now, wake up today, wake up tomorrow, do something different. Do something different to put you in the mindset where you need to be to move forward, because that's all thinking positive is. I'm going to leave us here with a quote. Now, there's a lot of different people in the world today that have done a lot of great things, right? I can go through the list of celebrities that have gone through different types of adversity. You know what I mean? We've talked about Oprah several times. We've talked about, Michael Jordan a bit because you all know I'm a sports person, and Michael Jordan not making his high school basketball team, LeBron James growing up with a single mother household, all that, not having a lot, both considered some of the greatest basketball players of all time. Um, we can go through the list. But the quote that I want to give you all today is from Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela states that the greatest glory in life does not lie in never falling, but lies in rising when you fall. So, being someone himself that has gone through being imprisoned and gone through so much along his journey, the fact you could have a thought process, and the story of Nelson Mandela, interesting one. I definitely check that out for sure. Google it. We're not going through the history lesson today. I can analyze it in another episode if you like. Let me know in the comments while you're leaving your 5-star rating and hitting the like button. But in order to go through the different things that he has gone through, in order to go through the things that I've gone through, in order to go through the things that you're going through right now, you will fall sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that your life's going to be perfect because it's not. But when it comes to positivity and negativity and all those different things, and you think about the person you want to be, I'll leave you with this question. Do you want to be the person that gives power to your limits? Or do you want to be the person that lives with no limits at all? And with that, not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. Let's get it.
When adversity came, I could have fell apart, but I chose instead to follow my heart. When adversity comes, I will never run, I will adjust, adapt, and overcome. Vision.